In the year 1162, somewhere between the wild, windswept steppes of modern-day Mongolia and Siberia, a boy was born. But not just any boy. Legend says he came into the world clutching a blood clot in his tiny hand, a divine sign that he was destined to conquer, to lead, to rule. He would grow to become a name that struck fear into kingdoms and empires, a name that reshaped the world. His name was Genghis Khan. But before he was a conqueror, before he commanded armies that stretched across the horizon, he was just Temujin, a child born into chaos. At only 9 years old, his life took a dark turn. His father, a tribal chieftain, was poisoned by enemies, and with that single cruel act, Temujin's world crumbled. His tribe abandoned him and his family, leaving them to starve on the unforgiving steppes. It was survival of the fittest, and young Temujin had to grow up fast. One winter night, in the midst of their hunger, a family dispute turned deadly. Temujin, barely more than a boy, killed his own half-brother in a fight over food. It was a brutal act, but on the steppes, it was also a lesson. Survival came at any cost. Yet even in these harsh beginnings, there were glimmers of the leader he would become. He understood that strength alone wouldn't secure his future. He needed people, allies, he needed loyalty. And so, he forged his first alliance with a boy named Yamuka, his blood brother, swearing an oath of eternal friendship. But Temujin's life was far from peaceful. When he married Borta, his first and most beloved wife, he gained not just her hand, but the support of her powerful tribe. Yet soon after their marriage, Borta was kidnapped by a rival tribe, the Merkits. For most men, this would be the end. But Temujin wasn't most men. With the help of Yamuka and another local chieftain, he assembled a small army, raided the Merkits, and rescued Borta. It wasn't just his wife he reclaimed, it was the beginning of his rise. Over the next few years, Temujin proved himself to be a leader unlike any other. The Mongolian steppes were a fractured patchwork of clans, each vying for dominance, each mistrusting the other. Leaders clung to outdated traditions, valuing noble birth over ability. But Temujin had a different vision. He didn't care where you came from. If you were loyal and skilled, you had a place by his side. This philosophy earned him enemies, including his old friend Yamuka. The two, once brothers in arms, became bitter rivals. Their feud would spark bloody battles, betrayals, and acts of unspeakable cruelty. At one point, Yamuka captured Temujin's generals and had them boiled alive as a warning. Temujin swore he would never be defeated again. Years later, in a decisive battle, Temujin turned the tables. Using brilliant tactics, he feigned retreat, drawing Yamuka's forces into an ambush. It was a crushing victory, and Yamuka's forces were obliterated. When Yamuka was finally captured, Temujin offered him mercy, an unthinkable act for the time. But Yamuka refused and was granted an honorable death. With this victory, Temujin achieved what many thought impossible. He united the Mongol tribes. In 1206, he was declared Genghis Khan, universal leader. But uniting the steppes was just the beginning. The Mongols turned their attention to China. To the south lay vast, wealthy empires, protected by massive walls and powerful armies. Genghis Khan knew these would be no ordinary foes, yet he adapted. He recruited Chinese engineers to build siege weapons and unleashed a campaign of terror and ingenuity. Cities that resisted were crushed. Those that surrendered were spared. One of the most harrowing examples was Zhengdu, modern-day Beijing. The city, with its 40-foot-high walls, seemed impenetrable, but Genghis Khan wasn't in a hurry. He surrounded the city, cutting off its supplies, and waited. Months passed, and starvation set in. When the Mongols finally breached the walls, the defenders were too weak to resist. The city was burned, its treasures plundered, and its people massacred. By the time of Genghis Khan's death in 1227, his empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea, encompassing nearly 10 million square miles, an area larger than Africa. But his legacy wasn't just one of conquest. Genghis Khan revolutionized governance. He outlawed the enslavement of Mongols, established a meritocracy, and promoted religious tolerance. his policies revived the Silk Road, creating a safe passage for trade and the exchange of ideas. It's said a man could walk across the Mongol Empire with a gold plate on his head and not fear being robbed. A testament to the order he imposed. The innovations he unleashed, paper, gunpowder, and the compass, flowed westward, igniting the Renaissance in Europe, and yet his darker side cannot be ignored. Historians estimate that his campaigns caused the deaths of millions. Entire civilizations were wiped off the map. Was he a barbarian, a visionary? Perhaps he was both. A man whose ambition was as boundless as the steppes he called home. As for Genghis Khan himself, his final resting place remains a mystery. According to legend, his tomb was hidden so well that the soldiers who buried him were killed to keep the secret. Even in death, the universal leader eludes us, but his legacy, that's everywhere. From the bloodlines of his descendants, 1 in 200 people alive today, to the political and cultural ripples of his empire, Genghis Khan's impact endures. So, what do you think? Was Genghis Khan the ultimate conqueror or something more? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this journey through history, hit like, subscribe, and join us again on Chronicles as we uncover the stories that shaped our world.